Hello there from Central Virginia. It's the middle of August, and about 2 weeks ago, I did a sort of a disaster garden tour of how July had sort of wreaked havoc on my garden, and I showed you around my disaster zones. Well, I'm not going to say that it's 100% cleaned up, but I'm going to now do a garden tour. So this is the part where I always say, if you're not into garden tours, run along. No harm, no foul. But if you want to take a look at my mid-August Virginia garden, then we'll go in and we'll start on the inside, and then I'll take you around. So I will say that August has been a little kinder. It has given us a little bit of reprieve from the driving rains and ridiculous heat that we had in July. And I've been able to get into the garden and do some cleaning, and I've also been able to do um, a little bit of fall planting. So I'll show you how those things are coming along. So come on into my garden for a mid-August tour. As we look around, we'll see some good things and some bad things. What I have been harvesting out of here quite a lot are these gorgeous asparagus beans. And I have really enjoyed harvesting these. I've been pickling them. I have been stir frying them and doing all sorts of good things with them. I've got 2 big trellises of them, so I'm going to have a lot this year. What you're seeing here is a volunteer melon of some sort that seems to be under attack. And I'm not sure what has attacked it, but honestly, I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to this melon, so I'm not terribly worried. Over here you see a volunteer ground cherries, and here is some blue spice basil. Got some chard in here, and some zucchini. Finally, I'm going to get some zucchini, I hope. So one of my big problem areas this year has been with my squash and cucumbers. The only cucumber I have right here growing is this one down on the ground, and I'm hoping it will finally take off. You can see that this one and most of mine have succumbed to, I think, cucumber beetles and squash bugs. Here is my lima bean tower, or my trellis of lima beans. These are coming in. Let's see if they're getting ready yet. I love being under here. Oh yeah, these are ready. These are a little bit more than ready. These have filled out, so maybe I'll go ahead and pick some of these over the next day. On the far side, you see some of my tomato trellis. The lower leaves definitely, my tomato row, definitely beaten up, but I've got a second wave of tomatoes coming in over there. I love being under this tunnel. So I'll just talk about my tomato troubles this year. I've had tons and tons of tomatoes. I've harvested boatloads of tomatoes, and I'm very happy about that. Then July hit, and I got a lot of tomatoes off, but I also had a lot of tomatoes burst and rot. And I didn't get disease setting in, but the vines got pretty beaten up. So they're kind of reviving right now, and I'm still picking a lot of tomatoes. I'm making lots of salsa, lots of sauces, all sorts of good things. So I'm not unhappy about that. And I think I'll continue to get tomatoes through the rest of the season. Probably just not in the kind of quantity that I was getting earlier. And that's fine, because I have definitely canned tomatoes and tomato sauce. So I'm good with that. Just slicing tomatoes and having them on my salads and for dinner from this point on is just fine by me. Now let's duck under this arch. Here in the center, this is where I had my tomato sauce patch, and I pulled that. And I think maybe on the last one I had actually planted it up. But you can see that I have some brassicas that have started off. These are broccolis and kales. And you can also see that I'm getting some nibbling damage on that. Don't know exactly what that is, but I am going to go ahead and put a little bit of Captain of Spinosad down. And pretty soon I'm going to start covering these because the grasshoppers will come in. So what I have here are some kale. This is a Premier kale, and I've got cauliflower, and I've got cabbages, and I've got broccoli all growing in here. As we look over to the north end of the garden, let's walk around here. I love this sage. This is an ornamental sage, and it's just so pretty. It's a pineapple sage. These are my beans that really, they got so wrecked up This was the third planting, the second planting here, and the third planting. Pretty wrecked up by bugs, grasshoppers, heat, etc. But the final planting is coming along well, and you can see a little bee in there going after that blossom, so that's all nice. So those will get a late harvest of those. Maybe my note to self is don't try to grow them in the middle of the summer. Wait till the end of the summer. Over here, I did a video on trying to plant cucumbers yet again in a different place, and I have germination. I have some plants growing, and I'm just hopeful that whatever has gotten everything else on my cucumbers won't get these. Here's some lima bean plants coming in. We've got the cherry tomato hedgerow on the end. Again, lower leaves beat up, but boy, oh boy, I am picking at least a pound, 2 pounds, sometimes up to 5 pounds every other day, every 3 days. So I'm getting lots of those. Here is a random Jubilee tomato plant, and it's just kind of doing its thing. Coming up this hedge, this archway, is a Trumbacina squash. It's going great guns, finally. And I will say that this squash plant 2 days ago was fine, and it's had sudden death. So I think it's probably wilt, from bacterial wilt. It could be a vine borer, but I really don't see the signs of a squash vine borer on here. More likely it's bacterial wilt spread by those awful, awful cucumber beetles. On the other side of this, beautiful, getting ready Henderson lima beans. I've got some melons that are starting to climb up. I don't know whether they'll make it to maturity or not. But here's a better look at the Trumbacina squash plants. I just really love this particular variety. It just is a mass. This is one plant and it's just massive. Yeah, so we've got more of the Trumbacina squash plants growing here. They'll keep going. More lantern flies here, just squish them up. And here's my poor single cucumber. Right here, this is it. One cucumber from a vine that was planted ages ago. Now I still have a few flowers, but you can just see how they're getting beaten, and it's all these, I believe, these squash bugs that have come in and gotten it. These little plants were planted ages ago, and they're just like sitting there doing nothing. I don't understand it. So maybe they'll start growing and developing now, late. Here's another squash plant. I'm hoping that this one makes it through. But these Henderson lima beans are doing fantastic. And that bee is loving it. Okay, back here I definitely have cleaned out. Can you tell? Maybe not, but the cue is you can actually see through the fence. It was all overgrown with cherry tomatoes. And now my pepper plants are definitely being able to see the light of day, and they are starting to produce much better. So it was time well spent cleaning out this overrun tomato hedge. And I also pulled the volunteer ground cherries out too. I picked some, but those were mostly self-planted. All right. Oh, look, a monarch butterfly. Can you see it? There he is. I'm so happy to see the monarchs and the swallowtails. Yeah. This is such a wonderful time of year. You can see that I cleaned out this whole sector over here, and that's great because now I can actually get to my other tomato hedge. And here's some more plantings for fall. Oh, good. A few days ago, I planted some beets, and they are starting to come up. Let's see if there's anything where I planted the carrots yet. I doubt it because it's not even been a week. No, not seeing anything with carrots, so we'll just keep covering those up. But it is nice to see some beets popping up. I will come in and actually cover these because last year the grasshoppers got my beets. All right. Some glorious tomatoes in here. Over here behind me, okay, here's some things I just planted a couple days ago. I haven't even gotten a video up about it. This is prize choy, and literally this sprouted in 2 days. And these are fall radishes. These are the Masoto roses, and these are black Spanish radishes that I've just planted. I have also planted chard, but that has not come in yet. So this was just planted 3 days ago, so very early on. This whole area was just completely covered over and overrun by the volunteer cherry tomatoes. I left a few on here to grow up this trellis. Here is my trellis of butternut squash. And you'll say, well, what happened here? And it was the squash bugs came and killed this whole, and look, there they are. They're awful. There's not a whole lot you can do other than just trying to stay on top of them by picking them off and finding the eggs. Interestingly, I just haven't seen a lot of eggs, but I see a lot of squash bugs. And anytime you start seeing your plants yellow like this is a sign of squash bugs. Here's one here. So yeah, that's so annoying. This is quite a large plant. You can see it's going up to the sky. But I don't like, there's another squash bug right there. That little bug, and here's a big one. This is a different kind of squash bug that is lighter in color when it's in its second nymphal stage. There's another one. So I don't want these bugs to destroy the rest of this plant, so I'm going to be quite vigilant. But I do have some nice squash. This one's already starting to yellow up. Not ready to pick yet, but when my fingernail doesn't indent the skin, then it'll be ready. Coming along. Let's go outside the garden and see the exterior garden. That's the part of the garden that has things that deer are less likely to eat, and my pumpkins and things like that. But it's really going crazy, and I have not cleaned that out. I'm just letting it do its thing. Outside the garden, we have loads and loads and loads and loads of flowers. These celosias are all self-seeded, and I don't think I'll ever have to seed them again because they've just sort of taken over this area. I also have my dahlias. These are dahlias that I grew from seed. And you'll see I have lots of them all around. If we go down this first exterior aisle, you're going to see some more gorgeous dahlias. And I also have lots and lots and lots of my chili peppers in here. These are the serrano peppers. And here's one that's actually ripened up. Go ahead, we'll pick that one today. In the back, that variegated plant, those are fish peppers. And they are hot chili peppers that have now started to come in. I have many, many different things growing in here, and I actually see some pokeweed that I need to get in there and pull out. You see the pokeweed in there? I can't get it back there to get it right now, but I'll have to put on some other clothes and come out. There's a beautiful frilliary butterfly. Down this row we have eggplants, and we have gorgeous, gorgeous Tithonias growing. I have volunteer tomatoes, peppers, all sorts of good things. Butterflies have been going crazy in this area. Take a look at this celosia. Isn't it just gorgeous? Here are, this is a trellis. This has marigolds on the outside. It has tomatoes growing everywhere, cherry tomatoes. I've been picking these like crazy. You can see. And look at the pumpkins. And here is the amazing lemongrass. I've been pulling this and cooking with it, and I can see that I've got grasshoppers. Grasshoppers, you can hang out on the lemongrass. That's fine. Just don't go and eat my little other things, okay? Now in here is a giant pumpkin patch. It's huge. I have piles of pumpkins growing here. I have two different kinds of pumpkins, the tan cheese pumpkin, and I also have the Seminole pumpkins. These, with the plain leaves, are the tan cheese pumpkin. Here's sage. That is the lemongrass.
Oh, that's the lemongrass?
That's the lemongrass. And here you'll see some pumpkins growing.
I almost mowed over it the other day.
There's another cheese pumpkin in there. This little one has got something that's attacking it in there, so I'm not sure what that is. But I've got plenty of pumpkins. This huge stand of tomatoes is all volunteer. And from my perspective, I can probably keep some of the deer out by letting this thing just run rampant because they can't see over it. And also they don't like tomatoes. They do like pumpkins, so I've got to be careful about this. All right, there's the hops tunnel. Hops are doing great. One of the things that we see happening with the hops is that the lantern flies like to hang out on it, so I do have to come out and patrol for those every single day. There's one there. Usually I'm able to hand kill them, but I don't have both of my hands because I've got holding the camera. All right, you can see the hops are just doing fantastic, and my husband will be very happy to have those to make his beer with. On this side we have a watermelon. This one's getting close, not quite. It'll be ready when this stem begins to dry. It's close, but not there yet. Here's some eggplants. They're sort of at the end of their production at this point. Some are doing better than others. This one still has some blossoms on it, so I'll keep this one going, and I've been picking all of the eggplants off. From this angle, you can see more of the massive pumpkin patch, and look at those Tithonia that are just so pretty. You see more volunteer tomato plants taking over in here. Here's the blackberry bramble that was deer pruned, but it's coming back. This will be fruiting vine next year. I will come out and trim out the vines that fruited this year to give the plant more of an opportunity to put its energy into growing new production vines. Loads more tomatoes down on this row, and you can see the lower ends of the plants are very beaten up, but we've got new growth. I need to tie this one up. New growth and new blossoms. Not so party, but it's functional. You can see more of the little watermelons forming. Here they are, from this big watermelon bramble here. And here's another, this is a Cinderella pumpkin plant, left and loose over here. Flame honeysuckle, clip dagga. Now, I'm not gonna grow this again. It just kind of doesn't do a whole lot for me. It's interesting. I'm glad I grew it, but it just takes up a ton of room and it provides a real shade hedge. But I do like these glorious zinnias. All right, so here's the other side of the squash, butternut squash. Now you'll notice this one just clomped off. Don't know, something might have eaten it. So we just check these plants for whatever. All right, moving right along. Here are the eggplants on the other side, which are pretty much done. They need to get harvested off. And I cleaned out a lot of those cherry tomatoes that were all over the place. Today I'll come in and pick the rest of these eggplants. Might get a little bit more life off of the plant. Those eggplants, I'll just pull the fruit off. Maybe the plant will revive and recover. Maybe not, it's late in the season. And then I'll pull that fruit off, I will roast it and put it in the freezer for use during the winter in soups and sauces. My hedges of the rose hedge was really trampled on terribly by the Japanese beetles this year, but it's starting to come back and put on some new growth and actually some new blossoms too, so that makes me happy. Although here's another friggin' Japanese beetle. I thought they were done by now. You can see that with August, certain things begin to fade, like these Monarda here. They've bloomed twice. They've had a tremendous blooming season all summer long. My echinacea is blooming back. I'm not cutting it back anymore because I want it to drop seed and feed the birds who have been coming in just loving the seeds. And also that enables some to self-seed as well, which I like. So there's always use for things. So thank you so much for taking this garden tour with me. Things are, turning into, we're going to be beginning to move into the fall garden, even though it is pretty warm out here still, and it is definitely summer in Virginia. So if you love garden tours, if you love to garden and you love to cook what you grow, do check back with me and consider subscribing and following and hitting the notification bell. I will give you updates on what I'm doing in my garden on a regular basis, and also I like to cook what I grow, so I will make videos on that as well.